Dr. Lena Morell had delivered hundreds of lectures in her two-decade career as a neurologist, but the one she was about to give felt different. Not because of the audience, small, a group of community members over 45, but because of what she'd recently witnessed. A week earlier, a man named Peter Hadley, 51, had been wheeled into her ER, slurring his words, right arm limp, his face slightly drooped on one side. Classic stroke symptoms. Lena recognized them before he even spoke. The man was lucky. He'd come in just soon enough for clot-busting treatment. But it wasn't just his symptoms that caught Lena's attention. It was his story. "I just got out of bed, and boom," he said weakly through his recovering speech. "Felt like the floor spun and my arms stopped working." She asked what he'd done that morning. His answer was the same as hundreds of others she'd seen over the years. Woke up, jumped out of bed, grabbed my phone, headed for the bathroom. Same as always. That same as always routine was killing people. Now, standing in front of the group at the community center, Lena looked out over the sea of gray hair and tired eyes and said clearly, "If you're over 45 and you're still doing this one thing most mornings, you're tripling your risk of a stroke." The room hushed. She had their attention. "Let me tell you about what happens in your body while you sleep," she began. "Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure drops, your blood vessels dilate, your brain enters a very delicate resting state. But when you wake up, especially suddenly, your body needs time to adjust." She explained that the transition from sleep to wakefulness was a vulnerable moment. Blood thickens slightly overnight due to lower hydration, and blood pressure tends to spike upon waking, especially in those with pre-existing hypertension or other risk factors. But what people didn't realize was how dangerous it was to jump out of bed immediately. "When you go from lying flat to standing in one motion," she said, "you force your heart and brain to compensate instantly. That sudden pressure change can trigger a clot to dislodge or a vessel to rupture, especially if you're already at risk." She walked to the whiteboard and wrote 3 words in bold letters: pause, sit, breathe. "That's it. That's the morning mistake," she said. "Skipping this simple step, getting up too fast." People murmured in surprise. Some exchanged glances. One man raised his hand. "So what exactly should we be doing instead?" "Great question," Lena said. "Here's the routine I give my patients, and I follow it myself. As soon as you wake, lie still for 60 seconds. Stretch gently in bed. Roll onto your side. Then slowly push yourself up to sit on the edge of the bed. Sit for another 60 seconds. Take 5 deep breaths. Then stand up slowly. Don't rush." A woman in the front row jotted every word down. Lena continued, "This might sound overly cautious, but let me share something else. Over 30% of all strokes happen in the early morning hours, especially between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. That's not a coincidence. That's biology. Your body is coming online, and if you shock it into movement, you're playing Russian roulette." The same thing had happened to Peter Hadley. No history of heart problems, no major symptoms. But he had elevated blood pressure and didn't know it. That morning, he'd gone from lying down to walking in less than 10 seconds. By the time he reached the sink, the stroke had already begun. He lived. But he would never regain full use of his right hand. Lena told the room this not to scare them, but to wake them up, in the right way. "I'm not here to sell supplements or alarms or fancy tech," she said. "I'm here to teach you how to listen to your body before it breaks." The risk factors were everywhere: high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sedentary lifestyles, smoking, even untreated sleep apnea. But the key point was this: one small change could drastically reduce your risk. Later that day, a man named Carl approached her in the parking lot. He was 58, tall, a former construction foreman. "Doc," he said, "I never knew that standing up too quick could do me in." Lena smiled. "Most people don't. That's why I talk about it." He looked down at his shoes. "Lost my brother last year to a stroke. Just found him on the bathroom floor. Thought maybe it was the bacon he always ate or the cigarettes, but maybe it was this too." "It could have been," Lena said. "It's never just one thing, but we ignore the little ones until they become big ones." Carl nodded slowly. "I'll do the pause, the sit, the breath. That alone could save your life." That night, Lena sat at her desk and reviewed her hospital's latest stroke admission stats. More than 40% of patients were between 45 and 65. Most had been found at home, many in the morning, often alone. It broke her heart because most of them could have had more years, more mornings, if they just slowed down for 60 seconds. She thought of Peter, of Carl, of her own father, who'd had a minor stroke at 64 and brushed it off as just feeling dizzy. He never fully recovered either. So every morning before her feet touched the ground, Lena paused, sat up, breathed deep. She was 47, and despite her career in brain medicine, she knew she wasn't invincible. No one was. But with each breath, she bought herself another day, another chance. And now, hundreds of others would too.